side. So side control is when, or cross body, sometimes gets referred to, is where I'm no longer controlled by any of Jay's legs. Once I'm in this position, I've got all my limbs and Jay's realistically only got his arms to do anything with. If Jay's not careful as well, it's a lot easier for me to submit him. So we'll look at the attack first, but ideally Jason wants to be in this position, which is called a frame. Okay. We're going to go back to that in a second, and he's just going to open his elbows up, and I'm just going to get into side control top. Okay. So there's a couple of different positions from side control top. We're going to go kind of heart and heart, okay, and start working from this position for our submissions first of all. All right. So once this arm's underneath, I can start creating a little bit of pressure across Jay's cheek. So I'm kind of twisting his head the other way. He's probably going to want to clear this because when we start looking at the escapes, you'll understand why in a minute. He's going to push on my face. Okay, to start trying to take my body away. Once he does that, this hand goes underneath. Yeah, so we're always working for that underhook, but we're going in a little bit deeper at this point. Okay, and this hand round the head is going to go over the top, grab the wrist, and push down to the mat. Now be careful with this. Don't just slam the hand down because everyone's shoulders flexibility is quite different. Okay, so hand here, elbow to the side of the ear, and then we're going to just link up into this figure four position. We've done this already, haven't we? Does anyone remember the submission? Yeah. What's it called?
Kimura.
Yeah, Kimura. Okay, so this is the exact same position. All right, so that's all we're going to do to start off with. We're not going to apply much pressure, so you can kind of see my butt is up in this position. We'll start looking at pressure in a minute. So just heart and heart, just nice and steady. Yeah, hand goes on the inside, elbow goes down towards the mat, back of his hand goes towards the mat, and then just get your figure four. Don't worry about kind of moving the arm just yet, just get that position. So do two each side and then switch. Because I get to there, I've got pain in the shoulder. But what we're doing is we're keeping the back of the hand pinned against the mat and we're lifting the elbow up. Okay, so you'll feel tension on the front part of your shoulder and a little bit of your pec. So if you've done any sort of bench pressing over the last couple of days, it's always a good check. I want to keep the hand in line with my ear as well. This is why we're pinning. Yeah? So if the hand comes up, I've got more rotation, whereas if the hand's in line with my ear, I've got less rotation. Okay, and this is a good check as well to see where our shoulder flexibility is. Okay, so doing the same thing, underhook, yeah, hand goes on the inside, elbow goes on the mat, palm on the floor. This is still the same thing. Okay, good grip, and then same as we did on for the Kimura position. I'm just going to rev the engine. Okay, so I'm just going to rev the engine of the bike, even though you don't rev the engine of the bike like this. Yeah, and then I drop the elbow down, look down towards the feet. Okay, we'll feel the shoulder get tight at this point. So now he can move his arm a little bit. There, it's not going to happen. Okay, so I'm keeping that weight on the elbow. Look down towards the feet and then lift this back elbow up. Okay, so the lower it goes down, the tighter it's going to be. Okay, so go nice and steady. Don't just rag it down there. Just nice and slow. Work out where your shoulder flexibility of your partner is. Yeah, and then that's how you're going to finish the Kimura. So when we're doing submissions, we always tap the person, don't tap the mat, because if everyone's doing that, no one knows who's tapping. Make sense? So nice, steady, and flow into it. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I've got my hands up protecting my head. It goes down. He's been really nice and not dropping my hand down because he can see how tight my shoulder is. And he just do the finish, Jay. Exact same thing happens. He looks down towards the toes and then gets a submission. So you've got the same submission in 2 different positions now. And this is where we start building our game plan. Okay? So let's look at the reverse. So if I'm the bottom person, how do I prevent some of this from happening? Okay? So the first thing is we don't want to push up on the face, do we? Because as soon as we do that, it creates an opportunity for them to submit us. And the reason why this happens is anytime your elbow goes away from your chest, there are more opportunities for submission. So we've learned the Kimura, the Americana, and there's also a straight arm lock. There's also the ability to get underneath and do the knee thing that we did last week. Okay, so if Jay gets side control, yeah, I lift this arm up, he goes to scaffold. Yeah, and then from here you can start pushing this arm in between his legs and start submitting me that way and doing all this kind of stuff. Yeah, the same sort of things. So our elbows are the bottom person and the position of the elbows are really important. So this is our frame, okay? Our MMA frame is this. Okay, our head tucks in. If we're just doing jiu-jitsu, we can kind of lie down, relax and chill a little bit. In MMA we can't. We should never have our head resting on the mat, okay? And this sounds like it's counterproductive because if you get hit, you bang your head against the mat. If you get hit in this position, yeah, the only thing that's moving is your brain. Okay, so as you get punched, nothing, your head doesn't go back, so your brain's rattling inside your skull. And for on the cage, it's not nice mat usually. It's a layer of mat with a canvas and some wood. Okay, so if you're here and getting hit, you're getting hit twice. So you're getting hit here, and then it's ricocheting through the back of your to the back of the mat. Okay, it sounds quite macabre. It's like, do I really want to fight? But this is where we're kind of learning some good skills if we get attacked on the street as well. Okay, so we always want to be in this kind of frame position, shoulders hunched up so we can defend. All right. So the first thing we're going to do, Jay's going to come this side. He gets on top into the same position, but this time I've got some better defence. Okay. All we're going to practice to start off with is our shrimp. Alright, so we've had a little play with this already, so hopefully it makes sense. We have to do something slightly different. Because his weight's on top of me, I need to clear the weight. Some people might be able to just shrimp the bum out and get the knee through into this position, which is fantastic. But if someone really sprawls out, there we go. That's not going to happen because the knee's blocked because of the hip. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bridge first of all, so I'm going to load my legs up like we've done before. I'm going to bridge over to the reception area. Okay, as soon as my hip goes back, I freeze my arms. Step my hips out. So if Jay puts his weight on top, yeah, all his weight's resting on his forearms. Okay, we're just going to practice that first of all. So here, yeah, and if we can, start sliding our knee through into some form of guard. I'm not worried what kind of guard at the moment, but get something in between you and your partner. Make sense? 1, 2, 3, the initial movement. If we're just relying on the arms extending, that's when it's easy to counter and start looking for submissions. Because remember, the elbows go away from the ribs, you're susceptible to getting submitted or switched into a different position. And this is the hardest bit that we'll learn in the side control stuff. Okay, so Jay gets on top, he drops, boom, got my frame, excellent, feel pretty happy about that. But he's got a lot of weight on top of me at the moment. I can't rely on just his bench press, and it certainly doesn't start with a bench press. The arms, if you just lift up a second, when I bridge, that's all they're doing. They stay close to my ribs. They're not extending, okay, because this is where you're going to get arm barred or gift wrapped or all kinds of different horrible stuff. Okay, so just watch what happens with the arms. What's going to start the movement? Hips, all in the hips. Okay, so yeah, and that's as far as my arms extend. Okay, so we call this freeze frame. All right, because it's frozen and it's a frame. Okay, there's no cover story, anything or backstory. It's just pretty much that. Okay, as I hit, my hip drops. Take your bum out. Okay, so point your bum out, and this is going to make it a lot easier to then get something in between you and Jay, or you and your partner. But the top person, apply a little bit more weight. All right. If you want lots of weight, let me and Jay jump on top, and we'll test your hips.
So what if you want to get up?
We're escaping side control position, or at least kind of limiting the damage. Yeah, the damage limitation at the very beginning is always the same, which is frame. Okay, so Jay gets into the same position. So you see how he's kind of heart and heart at the moment. Okay, so this allows me to get into most of my escapes from side control. But what he can do is he can actually come up a little bit higher into this position, which is called the high side control, or he can go lower towards the hip and go to low side control. So you see what he's doing with his elbow there? Okay, he's stopping my ability to shrimp. So even though I might be able to bridge, yeah, he's killed my hips. So this is where you've got to kind of understand the difference between a high side control, mid side control, and low side control, okay? So from this position, he's taking my shrimp away from me. So if he's taking the shrimp away from me, I'm not going to be able to easily get my knee in between me and my opponent. So we have to look at doing something different, okay? There are a few other options that we've got, which we'll go into, where we can kind of start pushing and then using that to kind of take a little bit of pressure off. But just for now, yeah, let's just imagine I've done all this sort of stuff. I've even hit him in the head and reminded him that he can hit me from the top position, which isn't great. Yeah, I'm going to take my hip and push it into his arm to begin with, okay? As soon as I'm ready to take my hip back into the same position, I'm going to put my hand towards my pocket, okay? So here, one, towards my pocket, and then as the hip goes back, yeah, to the start position where it's square, we'll shoot that arm underneath to hit my underhook, okay? Do you remember when I said you're going to get pissed off with me shouting underhooks? Congratulations, this is the first day of you being pissed off with me. So, frame position, still the same thing. Hip in, hand goes to the pocket, and then you're going to take the hip back and shoot your underhook. Okay? As soon as we get this position, and this is why we're going to do it together, because it's always together, I'm going to get onto my side and have that arm up in the air like we just don't care. Okay? So without Jason, still got my frame. Hip goes in a little bit, hand towards this weird little front pocket we get in jeans sometimes that no one ever uses. Okay, hip goes back, arm goes up to the ceiling. The arm has to shoot up as high as possible. Okay, let's just have a go at that. Have a go at both the low side control and the mid side control, so half and half. Alright, can we go 1, 2, 3? Put this up for everyone. He blocks my hip. I'm dead clever and I think I'm going to get out. He's now going to attack for a Kimura, okay? So he's going to wrap around the other way. Ooh. And hand on the mat, hand connects, and then he's just gently, he's going to take my hand behind my back. Now he might need to lift me up a little bit first, but you see how he's taking the arm up towards my shoulder, okay? That's super tight. So we're now introducing the Americana and the Kimura, okay? So, if I'm lazy with my arm and I just kind of keep it there too long, he's now going to attach and grab and start going for a Kimura instead, okay? So, this is where we're learning each other's game, both the top and the bottom person's game. So, one more time. I prefer to kind of switch my hips a little bit. It just makes it a bit easier. So, he's going to go, just do a scaffold. Okay, so that's scaffold, and then goes back, reverse scaffold. See how he's wrapping that arm around and keeping control. We also call this bubba, okay? We'll go into that another time, okay? But that's when we're kind of looking down towards the feet. So, last time guys, I've been super lazy, he's just been really tight and blocked there. He's going to take his arm that's on the head side underneath into his underhook position, controls the wrist goes down. See how the arm's on an angle, so we're at a 90-degree angle. Okay, so our arm and the top part and the bottom part of our arm makes a 90-degree angle. Okay, and then from here he's just going to bring the hand in towards the shoulder. Yeah, and then eventually, if they're really flexible, just start bringing the hand up towards the shoulder blade. Make sense? Yeah. Give it a go. Nice and steady with this one, please. 1, 2, 3. At the Americana. Okay, so we're going to get that underhook, push down, everything's nice and tight, elbow goes down, get my tap. A relaxed J then straightens his arm out. Okay, this is a bit tricky because there is a little bit of a switch of the arm. So I always keep an underhook, and then underhook on the opposite side. Make sure that the thumb's pointing up, and get my straight arm lock there. Okay, I'm putting a bar behind the elbow. This is why the lock's going to work. Okay, this is what's forcing the elbow to bend the wrong way. Okay, he thumbs down, and then he starts going down towards his hip. I follow to the what? Kimura. so follow him into the Kimura next. So he might be really strong and he'll thumb up, back to the straight arm lock, back to the Americana, back to the Kimura. And we just follow that arm because we're always keeping an underhook, okay? So whether it's an underhook this side or an underhook this side, the arm underneath his arm is the most important, okay? And also there's a bit of movement in there, okay? So as he's straightening his arm out, I'm kind of moving to point down towards the toes if I want to tap the arm. He goes straight, midsection, he goes up, a little bit higher, okay? So I'm always kind of following in with my hips as well. So let's just have a quick go at that. The straight arm lock, if you don't get it straight away, that's fine. But I just want you to be able to switch from attacking to here to here. The middle bit will come. All right, give it a go. 1, 2, 3.